Chill. I'm trying to get the tea.
It's Jess,
And Sandra.
and we are your hosts. Grab your favorite mug, pour some tea, and get ready for a piping new episode.
Okay. So join us every Monday for a new episode of Chill. I'm trying to get the tea, where you actually will get the tea. Some kikis, some life advice, and just some real talk from you girls.
We're super excited for this new venture. It's been a long time coming, but we're just excited to share with you and build a community.
Hey, son.
Hey, we got a special guest. We got Case in here.
Woo.
You heard us recording, so he came down to the studio.
Yes. He's in the building. That's our first guest for
Okay. This is our pilot episode. Super excited, and we're gonna get right into it. So, feeling check, sis. How you feeling today? It is a beautiful. Well, in Maryland, it's snowy. We got some more snow, but it's
Yeah.
it's not crazy, but it's
Yeah.
beautiful outside. Cold for
Yeah.
sure. How are you doing?
I'm always cold. I'm a chilly girl, so I don't even know, but I got the heater on right now and everything. But I feel good because I'm very excited about this episode.
Me
Um,
too.
yeah, I'm very excited about this episode, and that makes me happy. I had like a self care morning, and
Oh, love that.
getting prepped for this. But I'm like, it's only 11 a.m. and I've already had a range of emotions as well. Some things I'm thinking through and everything. And so I'm sure a lot of that's going to come out throughout the season as well. Like just how we manage emotions, who we are, the things we've been
Mhm.
through, and things like that. So, um, yeah. But yeah, that's how I'm feeling today. So, and I'm happy to see Kason.
Yes.
I know it's like flu season and all of that. So definitely, I know the kiddos are just trying to push through, but I'm happy to see him well. And he's co-founder of this podcast. So now he's trying not to bring attention to himself. But yeah,
Right,
um,
he's trying to act shy. Yes, he actually is why we came up with this name because Sandra was trying to spill some tea when she was over my house one day, and Kason was, being a toddler and trying to get attention while I was getting the tea, and I was like, "Chill, I'm trying to get the tea."
yes,
That was the perfect name for our podcast. So yes, he's a co-founder. He has
yes,
stake in the company.
girl,
Um,
royalties for life.
but I'm feeling good.
That's good.
I'm glad that he's feeling better. So
That's good.
we had a pretty good morning. Um, I did a little bit of cleaning, made him some breakfast. I got ready, and yeah, it was time be flying. So when these mornings come, it was like as soon as I looked at the clock, it was 10 o'clock. I'm like, oh shoot, let me get ready. So I'm feeling good though, good spirits, and all that. So I'm excited for this pilot episode. So
Yes.
yeah, what you sipping on though?
You know what I'm sipping on? I'm sipping on some rose hibiscus, like stress relief.
Ooh,
Um,
okay,
and it's in a Maya Angelou cup.
okay.
I don't know if it's Angelou or Angelo,
Ooh.
and then the title says, "Don't look at my little lip,"
Mm.
but this be a rainbow and somebody else is cloud, and I really love this
Wow.
cup because it's one of my sister's cups, and I really love it because. Um, I like Maya Angelou a lot, but I also
Yes.
feel like this helps me too because I feel like
Mhm.
sometimes I consider myself, and I think that's something we're going to talk about too on this podcast is like just like the words you speak to yourself and how that
Mhm.
matters. But I also think it's important to acknowledge who you are, where you're at, right? But I call myself a little windstorm sometimes. So I'm like, let me not be the windstorm, let me be the rainbow, right? And so I think having that visual is very
Right.
helpful. You're like, wow, we
I
are
love
rainbow
that.
all the colors. So
All right,
yeah,
co-founder, you gotta stay still. If you're not gonna stay still, you gotta go upstairs with daddy, okay?
but
You can't push any buttons. Oh, but I'm drinking on
what are
some
you sipping
chamomile
on?
tea.
Yes.
Sipping on some now, sir. Hold on, I'm gonna pause. Let's pause this
Okay.
real quick. We can pause the recording.
Okay.
Just regular chamomile tea. This is my favorite mug. This little Aztec
It's
printed
pretty.
cup. Thank you. Girl, I got this from Dollar General.
Period.
And it's like so sturdy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. We want to know what you sipping on. What type of tea audience are y'all sipping on? What's your favorite tea to sip on? All of that. Leave that in the comments. But we're gonna
Yes.
get right into it. Oh, first of
Mm-hmm.
all, before we get into what we're gonna be talking about today, I just want to send my love to the people in LA with
Yeah.
all these wildfires.
Mm.
Ridiculous and so sad. People losing their homes. So
Yeah.
we just want to send love and our prayers.
Yes.
Even the victims of the New Orleans mass attack. It's just so many things happening already in 2025. So we're
Yeah.
sending positive vibes and love to everyone affected by these tragedies.
For sure. For sure. Just.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know it's not easy, and we definitely want to hear about like relief efforts and support and everything like that, and see how we can just like facilitate that a little bit more too. Maybe just
For
drop in some
sure.
stuff. So, yeah, but
For sure.
um, huh. The year always starts off with a bang, though, doesn't it?
Cat Williams was 2024.
I thought he would have had a sequel, honestly, because the way, but he wasn't wrong. So,
He was. He wasn't. He was definitely exposing a lot. So in
mhm.
today's episode, we're gonna be talking about the holidays, holiday layoffs, family drama, beef, all types of stuff, and even just joyful things that happen over the holidays.
For
So,
sure.
do you want me to
For
start, or
sure.
you want to start about how? Well, we're gonna talk about Thanksgiving and Christmas because they're a month apart,
Yes, and New Year's. But I
and
think
New
that,
Year's. Yes.
but I think also, before we do that, um, let's give them a little bit of background with
Oh
like
yes, girl.
us and how
Really
we
good.
met, and even how like the podcast got started. I know we talked a
Yes.
little bit about Jessica trying to get the tea, with
Hmm.
her, but what happened was I was over her house one day in September, and I'm over there often, quite a bit. That's what our lives has been since what 2009, 2010.
Yep.
Um, we're just always over each other's house, over each other's parents' house, and um, we were just talking about something, spilling the tea, just catching up on each other's lives. And her husband was like, y'all should start a podcast." And we were laughing. We're like, you know what? Cool. But when we got home, or when, I got home, I was like, okay, like that's something to think about. But Jessica, around the same time, was like, we really should. And so, we thought about it, prayed about it, and here we are. And then we thought about the name. We were like, chill, I'm trying to get
Yeah.
the tea. So that's a little bit there. But Jessica, you could probably dig in a little bit about our like just how we
Friendship
met
and
as
stuff.
well. Yeah.
So, from my recollection, it was 2008.
Oh, see, I can't
It was
count.
'08, I believe.
Mm,
I was in 10th grade.
mm-hmm.
You were a freshman. And
Yep.
we met in Spanish class, Miss Layton's Spanish class. Was it Spanish 2?
I don't remember.
You
No, it
back here
wasn't even
speaking
Miss
on that.
Layton. It was
It was
Senorita Hall. I mean, Senora
Yes, it was
Hall.
Miss Hall. Yep, it
Hmm.
was sure enough Miss Hall. Um we met in Miss Hall's class, and I
Yeah.
don't even remember how we started talking. Maybe we had to like work together on something. And I was like, "Oh, she cool." And we honestly hit it off immediately, like
Yeah.
from day one. I think just started talking in class a lot, and then just started like confiding in each other. And I will say that like I feel like we met each other at times where we both needed each other in like our personalities.
Mm.
Because Sandra is very calm and chill now, but in the back in the day, Sandra, she was that girl, okay? Like She was pretty popular, like more. I would say you're an introvert, but you were more outgoing then and stuff. And
Hmm.
I was just like, kind of nerdy, cute but nerdy. But I just had like
Very
a
cute.
few friends, and she kind of brought me out of my shell. I would say that even though she was younger, like she was hipping me to new things, introducing me to people, inviting me to parties, that my Kojic mother was like, what? So yeah, she just brought a level of like fun to my life. And I
Yeah.
think I was probably like well, you can say who I was to you, but from my
Yeah.
perspective, I think she just needed like a big sis to kind of talk
Yeah.
to kind of give her a little bit of guidance because
Hmm.
she is a big sister. She has a big
Hmm.
brother, but she's a big sister. So it's like when you don't have a woman
Yeah.
older than you to kind of give you some guidance, it's a little hard to navigate, especially in high
Yeah.
school. You're, figuring yourself out. So I think that's what I was for her, is like the constant. And
Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah,
you can
for
kind
sure.
of go into that.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm thankful. I feel like I had a lot of older, women in support. But, like my brother's wife, who is his or was his girlfriend at the time, she definitely played that and plays that big sister role. So Jessica was definitely that support. She's older than her years too. She's definitely older than her years, but I saw Jessica as like very loyal,
Oh.
immediately, like loyal, always speaking the truth. Like she may have been quiet, but she was like, yeah, I'm gonna tell it what it is, like and so, and I appreciated that about her, and so, yeah, and I just like admire a lot of her, um, her qualities too. And Jessica always had a bomb perm. Listen, her hair was always done, baby,
The silk
always done.
press.
Okay, so now we both had perms back then, everything.
Hmm.
Now like lock babies, but I think yeah, we had a lot of fun with parties and stuff too. This the thing, I would go to Jessica's house to try to get to the party. So, mom, if you are watching this, that's what happened. I'm sorry, but we definitely had a lot of fun there. I would say though, and I guess this is probably one of those first vulnerability moments of this, podcast, is that Jessica, it was maybe like a year later, maybe I think the end of sophomore year. And I don't know if she knows what I'm about to share because she's sipping the tea, like, what is she about to say? But
Right.
I was talking to a guy, and I feel like this like cemented our friendship. I was talking
Hmm.
to a guy who ended up going to jail, right? It's like, girl, you in high school. What's going on? And it was a
It was the
very
original Love After Lockup or Love During Lockup.
it was a very crazy situation. I don't even know if anybody. Listen, I'm like, oh, how real can we get on here, right? And I'm like, who is this? But and then,
Right. We don't gotta, I mean, tell the scenario, you gotta say names, but this is your life. This is your experience.
and so Justin was like one of the first people to hear about, and she was like, yeah, like, are you okay? I'm here for you. And I feel like that really like cemented our friendship, and it's just been tears and laughter and fun and adventure, I feel like, since then.
Aww.
That was one of those pivotal moments that I really do remember.
Aw. Yes, I was literally gonna not necessarily bring it up, but that's what I was thinking of too. Like that's summertime because you were going through some stuff with your parents too over
Mhm.
that, and then
Yeah.
it was just, girl, we was finding any type of way to communicate. Like
Oh my gosh,
it
yeah.
was just a lot.
Yeah.
So that really cemented our friendship, and I feel like we just were stuck like glue after that.
Yeah.
And then also on my end, like, well, both our ends, we just seen each other through so many different seasons, like
Yeah.
from what 15 to 32 and 31. Like
Yeah.
that's a long time to be friends with somebody. Like she's seen me as like a child, and now being married, being a mom, and I've
Yeah.
seen her as a child, and then going through college, going through different relationships, strengthening
Yeah.
her relationship with God. Now she's a daggone pastor on YouTube. uh,
Stop.
I'm not gonna call you a pastor, but she definitely um is like a missionary in the trenches, but one that keeps it real, and talks about her life experiences. and growing in her confidence, her career. Like, we just seen each other grow so much, and I'm thankful that we're still friends, because a lot of people can't say that, because people fall off. I've had a lot of friends fall off, and we're gonna have an episode where we talk about friendship. But
Yeah,
yeah, I really
yeah,
appreciate you, and I know you appreciate me. So let's get into this main topic about the holidays. So, how was
yeah.
the holidays for you, sis?
Ooh, so the holidays were interesting, and I think that um, the reason we want to even talk about the holidays is that because I mean, yeah, they just happen, but I think the holidays can be hard for everyone. They bring a lot of joy, but they can also bring a lot of stuff and baggage. And I think we just want to, open it up to be real about the things that can come with the holidays, and so that
Mm-hmm.
it's not all Christmas trees and turkeys and stuff like that. And so I think, for Thanksgiving, it was cool. We went to Pennsylvania, and it was cool. The food was really good, but I realized that, and I've been going through a season, emotionally, and with my mental health, honestly. So I know we had went to the same house. We had visited the same family the year prior, and I think the difference between me then and this year was very significant. And I want to get back, to that person, but I realized that what I will say, right, for Thanksgiving is that it is so important to be grateful, gratitude, have gratitude, and not just like, oh, because it's a day to be grateful, but to have a heart of gratitude. And I feel like that's like what it's funny, it just like dawned on me. It's been said to me consistently. Um, but yeah, so I think that it's important to have a heart of gratitude, but also be present. Sometimes when you're in your own head,
Yep.
and sometimes when you're focused on what you're going through, you're not really present on like what other people may need. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, I just it's funny because I was like, oh my gosh, I had this moment yesterday, and my sister was like, girl, she said, that's what I've been trying to say.
Oh,
And so I'm like, she's like, but it's sometimes you just have to get it, Sometimes
yeah.
a
Mhm.
realizing moment.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
that was Thanksgiving, and like the year before, we were doing Soul Train, and I'm like, I'm trying to get back, to that person, but also get back to like having that environment as well. Like, you can affect your environment. I feel like as far as Christmas goes, it was a similar situation. Listen, you can make yourself sick with your thoughts sometimes. And so I'm just like, man, like I really don't want to um, do that affect not only my emotional well being, but like my physical well being as well. But like Christmas was cool, my grandmother was there, my aunts and uncle, or one of my aunts and uncles. Child. One of my aunts was there able to make it, but yeah, so it was cool. Food was good, and there was the game, so we watched that. I am uh, girl. No shade. I'm still trying to figure out how the Texans only made 2 points, but that's okay.
Ah!
That's something else we'll talk about later. But it was cool. Beyonce's performance. I'm like, that was a Super Bowl performance for real. Blue
Okay.
Ivy being an amazing dancer, performer. So there was that, and then Christmas. Ooh, not Christmas Eve. New Year's Eve, I actually went to church with my folks. I hadn't been to church, I think, in New Year's Eve in a couple of years, but at least that I remember. And it was cool because it was like, everybody was there with their families, everybody was wearing white. I personally came in a hoodie and some jeans, but again, I was very much like, I want, like, I want a new beginning. I want, this thing that I'm going through. Like, I'm like, I'm trying to have a quick fix and everything like that. And I realized again, it was one of those moments where I was very self focused and not present. Yeah. Yeah, so I realized I'm like, man, the holidays are like some of my favorite, especially Christmas. And I would to take like a redo, to be honest, like a little redo wand on them because hindsight's 2020, you can't live in the past. Because I'm like, if I could take it back, I would have had a more grateful heart and a more
Mm, mm,
present attitude, like being more present and thinking about people than myself. So
mm.
that's really what that is.
That's a
And
good reflection.
yeah, thank you, sis. But I think that, yeah, I just want to learn. I just want to learn how to, um, I don't know. I think learning that, but realizing your mental health, like in general, um, being me, let me rephrase this, being more mindful
Okay.
about your mental health, and your mental health during the holidays too. And so, I just want to send love to anyone just struggling, whether it's struggling with like grief, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
struggling with some changes. I know like layoffs during the holidays and you feeling like you're not being able to provide or be the same, give that same love that you typically would give. Or if it's just like, yeah, just any type of anything.
I agree.
Yeah, I just want to send love that way.
No,
Sorry.
for real, because
Yeah.
life continues to go on when you're having mental health challenges, and it's tough because it's like you still got to go through life even though you're not at your best. So
100%. Yeah.
definitely
And
send love.
yeah, and I think it could be a little bit more challenging during the holidays, right? Depending on
Hmm.
like you lost or anything.
Hmm.
So, yeah. But yeah, that was the holidays for me, sis. And I think we could probably give some tips about that towards the end. But what about you? How were the holidays for you?
Holidays were pretty good. So I will say that my Thanksgiving started out with grief because my cousin passed away like a week
Mm,
or two
so
before
sorry.
Thanksgiving. And then
Mm-hmm.
I went to his funeral. Most of my cousins are way older than me because my mom is the
Yeah.
youngest and she's like 7 years after the youngest kid. So like most of my
Mm,
cousins are like in their 50s. And my
yeah.
first cousins are like in their 50s. So he was older, but like he will always support. He loved photography. So like every time I had an event, he was taking pictures. Or anytime the family had an event, he was always taking pictures. Um, and I struggle with a little bit of guilt because I wasn't able to make it to my uncle's wedding, and that was the last time that he went to a family event before he passed away. And
Yeah.
when I saw the picture of him, I was like, I know
Mm,
it's probably his last
mm,
time, coming around the family. So
mm,
I did struggle with a little bit of guilt because I wanted to see
mm.
him, but I'm just glad that he's not in pain anymore. He had
Yeah.
cancer. He was suffering for about a decade, I think, on
Mm,
and off. And then this
yeah.
last time, it started to get really, really bad.
Yeah.
So I thank God for his life, that he's not
Yeah.
in pain anymore, and also that he gave his life to God before he passed.
Amen.
He
Oh,
started
that's so
going to
beautiful.
church, building his relationship with God. So
Amen.
I'm happy for all that. So that made it better and bittersweet. But then also, when it's a wedding or a funeral, there's always a bit of drama. Um,
Mm.
so
You
it
seen the
was,
movie Death at a Funeral?
girl,
Yeah.
listen, it was definitely some family drama, and I
Mm.
stay clear of drama. I cannot do negative energy at all.
Yeah.
So it was just very frustrating to me that like people used a moment of grief to
Mm.
bring drama about an obituary.
Mm.
So yeah, it was some drama with that, and then
Mm.
even some issues with some family members, and my mom was kind of involved, and it was just a
Mm.
lot of chaos, and it was
Yeah.
just too much because I love family because I'm an only
Mm,
child. I don't have siblings. So like
mm,
cousins, uncles and aunts, I want to have good relationships with them. And the fact
yeah.
that like, you know, those type of things were, I wouldn't say taken away from me, but
Mm,
you know, I felt like I was kind of like in the middle of drama. It's just like I don't
yeah.
even want to be in
Mm,
these positions. Like, can
mm,
we all just get along? I know that everybody's not going to agree all the time.
right.
We are family. Let's
Mm,
figure something out. So that was definitely hard to deal with. But then when we got to Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving was amazing. Got
that's
to see my
good.
bonus daughter. Hadn't seen her since
That's
the end of
good.
the summer.
Love it.
She's getting so big. She's literally my height. And I'm just like, what? So it was amazing to see her relationship with Case. We
Yeah.
cooked some good food.
Mm,
We took some family photos all together
yeah.
in our Christmas pajamas,
Mm,
some memories. So that was amazing. And then Christmas was very quiet for us. It was just
mm,
me, Carrie, and Kason.
mm,
We cooked. Did we cook? Yeah, we cooked again.
mm,
And it was just honestly quiet. It was exciting to see Case be able to like actually play with his toys and things that he got
mm,
this year because last
yeah.
year he was only 6 months, so he didn't really know what was
Mm,
going on.
right.
So that made me shed a little tear, like, oh my gosh, my baby's growing up. And
And you
Sandra,
know, real thugs cry.
okay. Sandra
Mm-hmm.
got the cutest little sweater. She always gets him the cutest stuff. The cutest little sweater from Zara. Like, I
Yeah.
can't wait till he wears it. I gotta send you a picture, of course. But
Oh.
it's in his closet hanging up ready. So, yeah. And then New Year's Eve was also pretty quiet. We did a little toast with some champagne or
I
whatever.
love that.
Carrie made his gumbo. That's our thing.
Yeah.
That is our tradition that we created for our family.
Mm,
I, have always looked forward to like creating traditions and doing things with my own family, especially because like, I don't want to get what's the word? I I wouldn't say negative, but like
mm,
when you don't have siblings,
mm,
it's you always are thinking, "Oh my gosh, I don't want to be alone when my parents pass away." Like,
mm,
I'm about to cry.
yeah. Mm,
But yeah,
mm, yeah.
whew,
Mm.
um,
It's okay, sis.
so I'm
Big
glad
girl.
that I have a family of my own
Mm,
because
mm, yeah.
that was definitely a fear of mine that
Yeah.
I would be by myself. And thank God
Yeah.
my parents are still here.
Yeah.
But just being able to create traditions and
Mm,
things for our own family that we can pass down is something that I've always been dreaming of and praying
yeah.
for. So
Yeah.
super appreciative of that. So
Mm,
that was my holidays.
yeah.
Overall, great.
Mm,
Yeah, and I can't believe I'm a whole mom and wife. Like this is crazy.
yes.
We were just in high school. So
Yes.
yeah. Whoa, I didn't expect to cry.
That's what this is
Yeah.
all about. That is what chill I'm trying to get the tea is all about.
Oh,
You
and
know.
I'm also what I was gonna mention was it was a little bit no, I wouldn't say this year it wasn't as tough, but like for the last 3 years I've had to navigate being a child of divorced parents. And I haven't really talked about this
Mm,
publicly because I want to respect their um privacy, their
privacy.
business and stuff. I'm not gonna share their stuff, but it is also my story because I'm the kid in it. Um well, the adult child of it. So it is a little bit difficult to, divide your time and make sure you're seeing them and make sure they're comfortable. But I was glad I got to see my mom before Christmas, and then I was able to see my dad right before New Year's Eve. So that was good. Just still trying to make sure that they have relationships with Kaysen, even though they're not necessarily close. I mean, my dad still lives in Maryland, but my mom is not here in Maryland anymore. So just navigating that has been a little bit tough. Not necessarily this year, but the past 3 years, and even going through my pregnancy with them not being together was very tough. But I thank God for people like you, some of my other friends that I could talk to about it. Um, because I can be I can keep my emotions inside. So I appreciate you because you always check in on me and be like, how are you feeling about this? Because you're
Mm,
just, talking about the positive and not saying, how are you really feeling? So I
yeah.
appreciate you for asking me how I'm actually doing. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think this is a good time where we can kind of, do what we usually do for each other, whereas you helping me out and I'm helping you, but that's really just through, questions and, just kind of getting to the deeper root. I feel like we don't really have the answers. You don't have the answers, like, we don't have the answers, but I think we do have each other. And so, one of the questions that I want to ask you, Jess, is how do you deal with, death during the holidays? How did you like continue to stay positive and, just keep on showing up as a mom and as a
Mhm. That's a good question.
and a daughter, because that's your mom's side
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I think I'm gonna piggyback off of some of what you were saying. Like being present is so important, and that's something
Mm,
I've been working on probably the past 2 to 3 years.
mm,
Is like remaining in the present moment because I'm a
mm,
planner, so like
mm,
I'm always thinking ahead of
mm,
what I have to do. Some
mm,
people are stuck in the past, and then there's some people that can live in the present. But I'm like, okay, what am I doing months from now, years from now, instead of living in my current moment. So just
right.
practicing enjoying the family that I do have because we're not going to all be here. The friends that I
Mm,
have, we all are going to have a day where we're going to pass. So just cherishing those moments and actually being in the present moment of spending time with my family and really taking in those moments and then
mm,
um just for I guess for my mom's sake, putting a little bit of my personal things aside because it is
mm,
her nephew, even though it's my cousin, it's her nephew, like her brother's
mm,
son. And so being there for her for when she's talking and when she was telling me about the drama that was happening, but also saying like, okay, you played a little bit of part in this, but I understand where you're coming from. There are root issues that need to be dealt with because I feel like the Black family we push a lot of stuff under the rug, sweep a lot of stuff under the rug, and then there's a huge blow up, and it's like because we're not talking about stuff. Um, but how else? Um, just just focusing on what I have
mm,
you can get you can focus on, oh, I don't have this, I want to be doing this isn't working out, this isn't looking the way that I want to, and just focusing on like, dang, this person just passed away. Like
mm,
I'm
mm,
still here, like
mm,
obviously I
mm,
have something to give to the world, I have something to give to
right.
my family, my son, like I'm here for a purpose. And it honestly kind of motivated me more to be like, oh, 2025, I'm getting it.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes I can kind of fall back on or not be consistent with what I'm supposed to be doing. But it
Mm,
just made me feel like, Jess, you got to do this because you don't know how much longer you have on the earth. Like,
mm,
get it done. You know what God has called you to do.
mm,
So do what you have to do. So, yeah,
mm,
that's how I dealt with it. But also allow
mm,
yourself to feel the
mhm.
grief of it.
Yeah.
Like, this hurts.
Mm, mm,
I didn't really cry until the actual funeral,
mm,
like
mm,
seeing the pictures, and then I
right.
think I sent Sandra like a picture that I didn't even remember taking, but it was like
Mm,
when I was in high school, I think. And
mm,
he had like his arm around me, and
mm,
he was at my house for Thanksgiving one year, and I was just like
mm,
that just sent me. I
mm,
was just like,
mm.
oh my gosh, because I
Yeah.
was trying to find a picture of us because he
Mm,
was always taking pictures of everybody else, but it wasn't a whole bunch of
mm,
pictures of him.
yeah.
Yeah, that just was like, man.
Mm,
And then he was just always so supportive. Like he would
yeah.
hit me with like, "Oh, cuz your videos are so inspirational. I love when you post your videos and stuff. Keep going." Like just remembering that, and that just like put a fuel to the fire. Like, okay, I
Right.
gotta do this. Um,
Right.
yeah, so that's the advice
Yeah.
I would give.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think that um yeah, being present in gratitude, like it helps you and helps others. And I think that, just allowing yourself to feel too, like you're human, you don't have to be
Mm,
perfect. That's really, great advice. And, I'm glad that your cousin lived a great life while he was
yes.
here. You had those
Hmm.
memories. So, another question I have for you too is that how do you deal with family drama? You said there were some issues there. So how do you deal with that? Because there's always going to be some of that.
All right, I'm Ray Charles the BS.
I'm
Um,
screaming.
um, That's a tough one. So I feel like you know me, I hold people accountable. Like if you're wrong, I'm gonna
Mm,
tell you, and you be
yeah.
telling me when I'm wrong when I tell you certain things.
Mm,
So like I'm I'm gonna tell you like, hey, you probably shouldn't have said that.
mm,
But or yeah, this is a problem. So I
yeah.
think just having a balance between for that situation, I was mainly listening. I wasn't involving myself.
Mm,
It had nothing to do with me.
right,
But
right.
also it's just like, okay, do I want to defend my mom? But then it's like, is that
Mm,
my place? I'm not trying to be
mm,
arguing with my family. Like,
yeah.
so it was a lot, but I would just say, um, try to bring people back to a positive note. Like,
Mm,
hey,
yeah.
we're family. This isn't a time to be arguing and stuff. Like, I get it.
Right,
We are
right,
all our emotions are all high. So like I
right,
feel like that was bound to happen.
right.
Some type of chaos or conflict.
Mm-hmm.
But just focusing on we are family at the end of the day. We don't all gotta like each other all the time. We don't all have to always agree. But right now, let's make it about Willie. That's my cousin. Let's make it about
Mm,
him and let's not focus on the negativity because that's what the
right.
devil wants. The
Yeah.
devil wants the family to break up, especially the black family. We already know that.
Whew.
He because we are
That's
stronger.
another topic.
We got to do a whole episode
Yeah.
on that.
Oof.
That is literally his whole plan to still kill
Right.
and destroy. So
Yes.
if he can get in with some drama and
Yeah.
he's gonna do that. So I
Mm,
just try um to be the positive vibe and not
right.
even to just preach to people, but to just
Mm,
show my energy, like still
mm,
showing love even though there is drama. Like
mm,
why are
mm,
we focused on that? Like,
right.
still hugging my family members and things like
Mm,
that. So just
yeah.
being positive, that's my way of
Yeah.
it. And saying, hey, if you really value the relationship, y'all
Mm,
need to sit down and talk.
mm,
Let's
mm,
not argue or let's not argue and then 3 months later we act like nothing happened. No, let's
right.
get to the root of why there is an
Mm-hmm.
issue and then see if we can
Mm-hmm.
move forward. If not, sometimes you do have to cut your family members off for your peace.
Mm,
And that's
mm,
just what you have to do.
mm,
But like conversations need to be had. So yeah.
yeah. No, that's so real, Jess. And I think that even adding on to that, like something that popped into my head as you were saying that is that like you can be the positive vibe and still not be fake. I think that that's something that I can, I admire about you because it's like, okay, like we're not going to like go down this whatever. Um, but at the same time, like I'm not I'm not about to sit here and say like that was right just because you're this to me. And so I think that you can be positive. If somebody asks you about the situation, you can give your honest opinion based off of how you see it, your values and everything. You can still be compassionate and lead it back to okay, but at the end of the day, what's the solution?
Mhm.
And so, to your point, like, okay, we're going to have a conversation about this. Once the dust settles, we're going to have the
Mhm.
conversation. Once we, you
For sure.
know, are past a certain point in our grief, right, we're going to have a conversation. So I think that's very important, and definitely something to like learn how to, navigate is that you can
Mhm.
bring the positivity, but you can also bring the realness.
Period. I have a question for you.
What's that?
So you were saying that you're still in a season, but like
Mm-hmm.
more specifically during the holidays, you were struggling with your mental health.
Yeah.
What are some tools that you are using to help you through this rough time, or what are some tools that you want to take up and put in your
Mm-hmm.
toolbox during this time?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think that when it comes to that, therapy is so important. Therapy is, and I've been in therapy on and off throughout the years, and I think never be too proud to, you know, admit that you need help,
Hmm.
and I think I've really pushed it down for a while because I'm like, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. And the truth of the matter is, like, you're going to, even though you may have tools from the previous time, you're in a different season, you're in a different space. There's different things that happen that you're going to need, someone to talk to. So, a new, set of tools. So I think therapy is important, but I think also, like, your, like, being okay, like just not being proud to accept help either.
Mm,
I was very fearful of, and I told people, I was like, I don't want to be Tink Tink. And they were like, nobody sees you as Tink Tink. You
right.
see you as Tink Tink.
Yeah.
And so it's like just being, oh, like relying on my like village, or being okay accepting help from my village. So I think that that's been very like, pivotal, like um, with my folks, with my brother and my sisters and my friends, and like that's been very, pivotal. I think being okay with like you have to continue to fight to let go of old mindsets too.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
that's like a hard thing when you have like a couple things going on. You may be, you may have some sadness, some depression, some anxiety. And so it could be a little bit harder, to get to that space. But I think making that active effort, and then just being mindful. I got the Calm app, and that Calm app is good because it's like it teaches you different things, but like it just teaches you to learn how to be mindful. And so like
mhm,
I may go down, my brain is very active. I really do want to do one of those MRIs, those little brain scans, and see where the things are lighting up.
mhm,
Was washing my hair this morning, and I was like, how many thoughts have I had already?
mhm,
And
mhm,
like get back to that, like just being present on what you're doing. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm washing my hair, I'm washing my edges. I'm not thinking about this thing in the past, or I'm not thinking
mhm,
about the future. I'm not thinking about how this podcast is gonna go. I'm just
mhm,
present,
mhm.
or I'm mindful, right? I'm getting back to that. So I think that those are some things that I want to hold on to. But more than anything, the life that I desire to have, and I think that's a tool, right, is the life of surrender, right? The life that everything is, that Lauren Hill song,
Mhm, mhm.
is everything, and what is meant to be will be. And I think in a lot of that you let go of a lot of the things that you were, but you also let go of a lot of the things that you think you should be too. And so those are some tools that I definitely want to like have in my tool set as well. Oh yeah, and then just being present, like when you are focused on other people, it's like you still have problems, but the problems will get solved, right? Like I think that that's a big thing, too. So those are some things that have helped throughout.
And you can
I
only control but so much.
For sure, a
You can
hundred
only
percent.
control but so much. And I think that as I feel like a lot of people have anxiety. Like
Hmm.
life is just life. But you're trying to control people, situations, outcomes, and it's like once you just let it be the way that it's supposed to be, control what you can control, and then just let it go the way that it's gonna go anyways. For real, God be looking out. So it's gonna work out in your favor. It might not look the way, it might not feel the way, it might be hard, in that waiting room or whatever it is. But like it's gonna work out in your favor, especially if you're doing the work. So I agree with you, sis. I have one more
Hmm.
question. So for those who want to go about therapy but don't know how to like really navigate that or do that, how did you do that, or do you have any resources on how to get therapy?
Yeah, so I think that psychology today is a good place. Google will help you. I think the fear lies in, or the uncertainty lies in, like, okay, are we going to be a match, right? It's
Yeah.
like, I don't want to keep on searching for therapists and it ends up not working out. But I think just try it, and nothing is wasted. And there's a lot of resources there for like the type of insurance you need. You definitely, therapy and visits can be expensive, but
Yeah.
that you're in a place financially to be able to pay out of pocket, or you have, you know, um, the therapist does cover your insurance.
Right.
So I think that that's a good place, but also just asking people who may know who are in that field and who have
Mhm.
resources as well. Um, we're remote, so there's a lot of telehealth out there, which is great. But I think something to keep in mind is that your therapist or your counselor does have to, they're usually they're licensed by state, so you have
Mhm.
to make sure
Mhm.
that you are, getting someone who is also in state or can provide services as well. But I think also just going through what it is that you may think you're going through. And the reason I say may is because, we self diagnose ourselves a lot. But if you think you're struggling with, like, bipolar disorder, for instance, like I have a
Mhm.
lot of these things, and it could just be extreme anxiety, but like maybe it is helpful to look at someone who you think has specialty or someone who has specialty in that, and they'll be able to actually diagnose you properly. I think you also want someone who you feel like you can relate to. You
Yes.
may want someone who maybe, or someone who you feel can help you in that season. You may want an older person as you um, are embarking on a new journey. You may want someone who um, may have who's a marriage counselor. You're about to get married, and has that experience. And so I think that it's important to just know what you want out of it, and making sure that it fits with your lifestyle and your budget as well. So that's how I would go about it. And then Google and then your network is a great source to start to find that therapist that works for you.
I agree. And I think the first step is being a little bit self aware. You got to be a tiny bit self aware to want to go to therapy because, first of all, you have to be honest with yourself and what's going on because therapy is not going to help if you're not being honest with what's really going on with you.
Yeah.
If you're telling lies and not being truthful when your therapist is asking for stuff or you don't want to you don't want to go past a certain point, it's not going to be helpful. It definitely is triggering. I remember my first therapy session. I was crying. I'm like, I don't even know this lady. How you gonna go back to my childhood
Yeah.
where I didn't even want to unpack this right now? Like,
Mhm.
what? Like, if you're not ready for that, then I would say, maybe hold off because you don't want to waste your time and your money if you are not ready to truly
Mhm.
heal. You
Yeah,
got to be in a spot where you're ready to get the help that you need. We'll say
absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. And I think something to keep in mind too is that like the therapist is just there to facilitate and guide. Like you still have to do the
The
work.
work.
So, not shying away from that, not being like, I've been in therapy this long and I'm still struggling. It's just like, no, you got to use those tools as well to kind of get you to where you need to be. And you're still not going to be perfect after that.
Right. You're still gonna have
It's,
triggers. You're still gonna struggle with stuff. You're
yeah,
still gonna go back to old ways and be like, oh man, I went back to that. But it's all about being aware and being able to
catch it
guide yourself
quicker.
back to where you're supposed to be. So
100%.
yeah.
100%. So I know we are coming up on time. This has been like a great first episode so far. But something I just wanted to talk about, I know it's random, right? It has nothing to do with the holidays or like self care or anything like that. But I wanted to talk about your locks, honey. They look amazing.
Thank you. So do
Um,
yours.
Thank you, girl. So, what I wanted to ask you is, and I was talking to another one of my friends today who started her blog journey, and just the challenges there. I think self love, self acceptance, hair envy sometimes even too.
Just a couple months ago, I was talking to Sandra saying I wanted to cut my hair off because my hair is very dense, which I knew. Like my hair, even from getting silk presses, my hair is very thick and dense. So I have to get my hair retwisted very often. But people be booked. Like everybody that I go to, like they just be super booked. So sometimes I have to wait or go to different people in between because they don't have any availability. So when your hair is not looking good, first of all, our hair is our crown, black women. So if we don't feel confident in our hair, we feel ugly. And then when you're going through the the initial stage of them growing and they just be like this small and you just like, oh my gosh. And then you need a retwist and then it's just like, oh my gosh. Or you're used to seeing your hair look a certain way. And that just took a lot of reframing of my mind because I feel like a lot of us black women, and this is no shade, if you're wearing a bust down wig and stuff like that, no shade to you, that's your preference. But I feel like that is like our beauty standard now is having like a wig on or something that's straight, and anything that is like in the natural state that is locks or whatever it's not seen as beautiful, or you feel like, oh, my hair looks unkept, I look unprofessional or whatever. So that was definitely tough to navigate. I'm coming up on year 3. But just pushing myself to keep going, because I'm like, I know I'm gonna love the results. Like once my hair really starts growing and stuff, I know I'm gonna love my results, and loving myself through the process of not necessarily feeling cute all the time, of just saying, you know what, this is just what it is. And I have to go through this process to get to where I want to go, because it's a whole journey of self discovery, of confidence, all of that. So I feel like my confidence is extremely high now because of the journey. And also, I feel like it has attributed to my consistency overall in life. Because if you're consistent with your hair, you could be consistent with anything. So that's how my journey has been so far. How has yours been? Because you've been on this journey for about a decade, sis, almost.
Yeah, I think it's so 2017. So this
Okay.
is
So 8.
almost 8 years. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, no, I love when you got your locks. I am a proponent of anybody who says they want to get locks. I'm like, do it, do
Mhm.
it, do it,
You
do it.
are. You are.
Yeah, but I think it's also like I really had to also step back from being like that do it person to like whatever you feel most comfortable with. If you
Mm.
want to get a
Mhm.
silk press, if you want to
Mhm.
cut them
Mhm.
off and
Mhm.
get a silk press, if you want to do the finger waves, because I'm just like you said, our hair is our crown. I think
Mhm.
the thing too though is that it does teach you a lot of patience, but it's just
Mhm.
like the thing too with women in general is that we can just struggle with like hair envy in general, right? So
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
like this, and that's women. That's across the board. It's I think it's a matter of just getting comfortable with your locks. If you have finer hair or finer locks, if you have thicker hair and thicker locks, if you probably can get color because your hair is very sensitive.
Mhm.
Whatever. Just like embracing that too. So. Loving the lock journey, and like if you decide to cut them off, that's cool too. So, because
Yeah.
you did it. So,
The choice is yours. It's your hair. So however
and
you feel comfortable wearing it, you should wear it. But I will
absolutely,
say is, you shouldn't let other people dictate what you should be wearing. Like,
yeah.
oh, I feel like I can only get a man if I have on a wig, because
Mm,
if I wear my natural hair, I'm ugly. Like
mm,
that's a self love thing that you have to work on. Like there's
mm-hmm,
nothing wrong with wearing wigs, weaves,
mm-hmm.
whatever, or wearing your hair straight. I love it all. I've worn a wig. Until it was riding back. Let's not even talk about that. But so there's nothing wrong with that. But I think doing it for the right reasons, because you actually feel confident and you actually love this hairstyle. So I
Right.
guess we'll end on that note.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love you guys. I love you, Sandra,
Love
and
you, sis. Yeah.
yeah,
That was true.
that was it.
Get the tea. So yeah, leave us comments and everything about how
Thoughts
and
about the episode. How were your
mhm,
holidays? We want to hear about that.
yes.
Um, yeah, and we will see you guys next week.
All right, y'all. That wraps up today's episode of Chill. I'm trying to get the tea. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we definitely want to hear from you. So follow us on our socials.
CITGET podcast for Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So make sure you're following us for the meantime, in between time, to keep up with us. And also, we want to hear your tea. What is your tea? We want to get all up in your business, give you some advice, some
And
real
love up
life
on you.
advice. Yes, we want to give you some real life advice, because life is a hard thing. This thing called life is a journey. So if you want to send us some questions, to get some advice, our email is citgetpodcast@gmail.com. And we can't wait to see you in our next episode. Hey.